It's a big day for Nintendo Switch 2 with the Pokémon Presents having debuted this morning. Release date changes for Nintendo Switch 2 games and more to discuss. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. You might have thought Pokémon Presents would bring a new energy to a new era. Frankly, they didn't. Let's get this out of the way right off the bat. And let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. These Pokémon Presents, they're very boring. And maybe I'm not the target audience. Maybe a Switch 2 gamer is not really the Pokemon core fan base, really. It's not as much about the traditional video game as it about everything else, right? They emphasize cards, they emphasize apps, they emphasize animation. I mean, it's cool that Aardman is making a Pokemon thing because I have some nostalgic memories of Wallace and Gromit, and their latest movie was actually really fun on Netflix, but it's mostly that. They've got a Poke Park coming to Japan, which it's like a theme park without the attractions. It's just themed. It looks kind of boring, honestly, and that was sort of the MO for the entire Pokemon Presents. Now, there's one silver lining of the Pokemon Presents that I do think is nifty for people that aren't huge Mario Kart World fans, or if the bundle ends up really being impossible to get once the holidays roll around. Nintendo did announce a new Pokémon Legends ZA Switch 2 bundle where you're getting that game for $50. It's the same $500 price point as we saw for Mario Kart World. The issue is Mario Kart World is an $80 game, so you are getting $10 more savings. You're not getting that $10 extra. I'll give them credit. It's nice to have another bundled game. It's nice to have another little way to save, and it's nice to do something that allows people to get in on the Switch 2 and get a game at the same time. That's the highlight, though, of the Pokemon Presents, which tells you how I feel about the Pokemon Presents. You know how there's this thing where you rent out a movie theater and you play your games on the huge screen? What if you could have that at home, instantly accessible all the time for your Switch 2? Enter the Vitcher Luma Pro XR glasses. This is the craziest way to experience Switch 2, and honestly, it's the coolest tech that I've experienced in the modern era that made me go, wow. You get a humongous screen in your eyeballs with perfect clarity. And that last point there is crucial because other XR glasses have not been able to achieve what Vitcher has here, which is pure perfect clarity, no headaches, no motion sickness, just the ability to experience your Switch 2 games larger than life wherever you want to go. These glasses absolutely blew my mind and come with a humongous SwitchForce seal of approval and triple thumbs up. I've got a full video on the channel detailing my entire experience and really going into what it's like to play Mario Kart World on a humongous screen with all the features that the Vitcher Luma Pro bring your way. But right now, click the link in the description down below just to see it for yourself. Every time you click the link, it helps support the channel and what I do here on SwitchForce, allowing me to keep making videos. So big thanks to Vitcher, big thanks to all of you, and man, this is definitely the future of Switch 2 gaming. There were no new game announcements outside of an app that's also on Switch 1. It is Pokémon Friends, which is like a Pokemon puzzle game with a variety of puzzles that can be completed. I don't know. I could be, I guess, surprised by it, but it seems like it's very easy and definitely targeting a much younger audience, which is fine, right? They deserve to be targeted and they should be covered. I just felt like Nintendo didn't really, Pokemon Company, I guess, they didn't really have anything else. And maybe Nintendo is going to utilize their coming directs to talk about how Pokemon is going to move into the Switch 2 generation. Or maybe it's just not time for that yet since ZA is getting the full fall focus. It just was very dull. I mean, Legends ZA itself, if we move to that, was the biggest segment of the show. It got about 5-6 minutes of new footage. And while there's aspects that look cool, I'm more and more confused about this game. I think they're really emphasizing the story elements and kind of the open world type stuff where there's side quests and more to do and a very dense world. But I'm a little confused on how this is a step up when it comes to the Pokemon catching. One of the best parts about Pokemon Arceus was the fact that you could wander around and just catch all these different Pokemon in all these huge open areas. And Legends ZA is just in a city. And they're saying you're going to be able to catch the Pokemon during the day, like on a rooftop or in an alleyway. I just don't know how much variety there is going to be. How big is this city actually? Are there additional zones that aren't being shown? Because otherwise it feels like the Pokemon Company and Game Freak sacrificed some of the wide world nature of Legends Arceus to trade in for a smaller but more non-Pokemon game for ZA. I'm not even really sure what the trade-off is. I'm trying to think optimistically here. The battles obviously are a bit more involved, I think, because they are in real time, and that could be just, maybe that's all they need. Maybe that is really the game changer that makes Legends ZA stand out and stand above. And I'm glad they're doing a Switch 2 version. Obviously, it's going to have improved performance and improved graphics, but like, does anyone else get the sense that this city isn't all it's cracked up to be? I feel like it's too in between. Like, Legends Arceus took things in a very distinct direction by utilizing a time period that's different from the mainline Pokemon games, and by utilizing a just gameplay progression and style that's very different. I feel like Legends ZA is too in between the two, where it's like kind of trying to tiptoe around not being Gen 10, but it's also not doing what made ZA or Arceus so distinct. It's doing its own thing, I guess, which is the battle system. I don't know. I feel like, I hope this game has more in store. I hope that they're hiding more. I hope that there's more areas and that there's more than just rooftops and alleyways and looking around the city for Pokemon. I get the whole idea of a lived-in world where it feels like a modern era, but to me, like, they should have gone hog wild with a modern, huge open world where you could catch and battle these Pokemon in this new style, but in massive areas and with a ton of variety, and almost made it like, you know, very cool, like Pokemon Snap levels where it's like, oh, here's a volcano and here's this, and you get to still wander around. So there's much more environmental diversity than Pokemon Legends Arceus. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. I feel like this game is worrying me a bit, and I haven't really seen anything from any of the trailers or footage or gameplay that has sold me super high on Legends ZA after I loved Scarlet and Violet, and then they improved the heck out of it with the Switch 2 patch. That game is top tier. We did not get any tease of Pokemon Gen 10. We did not get any tease of the black and white games coming back like we've heard for years and years. We got Pokemon Champions, which is a way to battle it out with your friends on mobile devices or Switch 1. I mean, also Switch 2, but not a dedicated version, it seems. And that's coming out next year. There's updates, obviously, for all the other apps. It's kind of a nothing show. Maybe there'll be more Pokemon at the Direct, but I feel like Pokemon's just kind of taking a year to regroup and maybe a year to learn the new tech, and they really emphasize getting Scarlet's performance down and then launching ZA, and that's kind of all they're going to get. Next year is a big anniversary of Pokemon, so maybe there'll be more there, but I give this show a low C. I did not think it was really good at all. C- is what I get for the Pokemon Presents, and I'm praying that Directs come through in the clutch in the next 10 days to deliver a far more exciting Nintendo performance. Now, check out this performance from Randy Pitchford about Borderlands 4 on Switch 2.
And I have an update for you about the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Borderlands 4. And I know that you're worried about it because we haven't yet announced a launch date. We haven't yet open pre-orders, and many of you take that as a sign that the game isn't coming out anytime soon. Look, I know we promised that the game would come inside of 2025. We promised it would come before the end of the year, and game development is very hard. And you guys, that date is October 3rd. It's October 3rd, you guys.
So right off the bat, it sounds like he is saying this game is going to be delayed, this game is being pushed, game development is hard, they're not going to make it. And I know a lot of people were hoping that this would be day and date, myself included, but it became pretty clear when they were not assigning a release date or a pre-order to the Switch 2 version that that was not going to be the case. Turns out the game is launching October 3rd, which is about 3 weeks after the other version's launch. And yes, this is not ideal, and definitely not a standard I want to see going forward, but it's way better than it could be. It really seemed like Randy was trying to tell us the game's going to be delayed till 2026. Thankfully, it is a 3-week delay, and I'll give them some grace for this time. Remember, we know Nintendo did not send out dev kits to very many people, and when they did send them out, it could have been more late in the game. And so a lot of other studios, a lot of other publishers have not had a chance to fully wrap their arms around Switch 2 development and getting their games prepped for the port job to make them work and run beautifully on Switch 2. October 3rd is a bummer because this could have been the big third-party game of the fall season. It doesn't seem like we're getting Call of Duty just yet on Switch 2. Therefore, Borderlands 4 as an FPS looter shooter could have really made waves and would have been my preferred way to play that game. I don't know that I want to wait 3 weeks to play it on Switch 2. I'm lucky enough to have other platforms where I can play it. For those who don't, and being able to take it portably, that is a reasonable amount of time. But what I will say is, like, you only get this allowance from me once. After this, Borderlands, Gearbox, 2K, any other studio and company, you better have your game ready day and date. We're not going to do this thing where the Switch 2 version is 3 weeks late, 6 weeks late, 3 months late. That's not something that's acceptable, and it's not something that's okay, and it's going to drastically hurt and impact third-party sales and performance, which will drastically hurt and impact future third-party games. These early third parties actually are so important, right? They are the focal point for other third parties to say, is this going to work? Can third-party games sell well on Switch 2 and compete with DK Bonanza, Mario Kart World, some of the other Switch 2 editions? Are they going to be successful? And can this be something that we actually fully commit to and commit resources, dollars, developer hours to? And these early ones need to nail it for people to see that it's worth it. And if these early ones are coming out super late, that's going to create mixed signals. It's going to say, oh, the sales were really low, but it's not because people didn't want it on Switch 2. It's because they couldn't have it when they did want it. So I'm glad that this game is only getting a 3-week push on Switch 2. It technically was never announced, so it's not a delay. It's just a change, we'll say. I still think that's an awesome get for the Switch 2, but the Switch 2 is now the Switch 1. There's no more awesome gets, right? Like, this system just needs to have all the games. When a big new game comes out, if it's multi-platform, it needs to be on Switch 2. And I'm going to hold that line. We're going to see if Nintendo actually is holding back third parties, because we haven't got very many release dates or even announcements beyond what we saw at the initial Switch 2 reveal, where it was like, oh, Elden Ring. Still don't have a date for that. Oh, Star Wars Outlaws. Okay, that's coming out in September. Oh, there's a few other titles like Final Fantasy VII that's promised in the future. But they need to start coming with frequency, and they need to start coming consistently, and they need to start coming day and date. And if they don't do that, I'm going to be majorly bummed. We do not want to repeat the Switch 1 issue, where third-party games were an afterthought and third-party games were from yesteryear. The Switch 2 has the power, and the purpose of that power is to put these games in our hands right away, and I think we deserve that as people that bought a $500 console. So I will say that I'm excited still for Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2. I'm glad it didn't get delayed. If it got delayed till 2026, I was going to come in here with a totally different tone. But Randy fooled me and gave us the October 3rd, which I think works out pretty okay. Let me know if you're still going to pick up Borderlands 4 on October 3rd. And are you taking the same hardline stance I'm taking, which is like initial launch window grace period, sure. But after this, no more different days for Switch 2 games. They better be launch date. Let me know your take in the comments down below, how you felt about that boring Pokemon Presents, and are you worried about Legends ZA like I am? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments. I'll be in there talking with you. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.